The night I pushed my brother off the third mainland bridge, I felt nothing but relief. I watched his body disappear into the black waters of Lagos Lagoon, and for the first time in 23 years, I felt like I could finally breathe. No more comparisons. No more living in his shadow. No more, why can't you be more like Chike? I drove home that night, parked his car in a dark alley in Surulere, wiped down every surface, and walked back to my one-room apartment in Bariga like a man who had just freed himself from prison. But freedom, I would soon learn, comes with a price tag written in blood. My name is Tabena Okafor, and this is a story of how I destroyed everything I ever loved, and how karma made sure I paid for it in ways I never imagined. Let me take you back to when Chike and I were still brothers and more than just blood. We grew up in a modest 3-bedroom flat in Surulere. Our father was a civil servant who died when I was 12 and Chike was 14. Our mother, Mama Ngozi, worked 3 jobs to keep us fed, clothed, and in school. From the moment our father died, everything changed. Chike became the man of the house overnight. At 14, he was brilliant, disciplined, focused. He would wake up at 4 a.m. to study, help Mama prepare breakfast, then head to government college, Ikoyi, where he was the best student in his class. Me, I was the opposite. I was average in everything. Average grades, average looks, average ambition. The only thing above average about me was my ability to disappoint. But Chike never made me feel small. He would sit with me for hours, explaining mathematics I couldn't grasp, encouraging me when I failed exams, defending me when Mama's patience wore thin. Toby is just finding himself, he would tell her. He'll be fine. He believed in me when nobody else did, and I hated him for it, because his belief felt like pity. His kindness felt like superiority. His success felt like a mirror showing me everything I could never be. When Chike gained admission to study medicine at the University of Lagos at 16, the whole street celebrated. Neighbors contributed money. Church members prayed over him. Even strangers who heard the story sent congratulations. Mama cried tears of joy for 3 days straight. I sat in our shared room, staring at the ceiling, feeling something dark and ugly coiling inside my chest like a snake. I was 18, still struggling to pass jam, still jobless, still nothing. The years that followed were torture. Chike excelled in medical school. He graduated top of his class, won scholarships, presented papers at conferences. By the time he was 25, he had completed his housemanship at Lagos University Teaching Hospital and was already being courted by private hospitals offering him ridiculous salaries. I, on the other hand, had tried and failed at everything. I attempted 3 different degree programs and dropped out of all of them. I worked as a bus conductor, a phone repairer, a club bouncer. Nothing stuck. Nothing worked. By the time I turned 28, I was back living with Mama in Surulere, sleeping on the same mattress I had slept on as a child. And Chike? He had just bought a 4-bedroom duplex in Lekki Phase 1. The day he invited us to his housewarming party, I told Mama I was sick. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't stand in that beautiful house, surrounded by his successful friends, his beautiful girlfriend Adiz, his gleaming cars, and pretend to be happy for him. But Mama forced me to go. He is your brother, she said firmly. He has never abandoned you. The least you can do is celebrate with him. So I went, and I smiled, and I shook hands with his doctor friends, and I congratulated him. And all the while, the snake inside me coiled tighter and tighter. That night, after everyone had left, Chike pulled me aside on his balcony, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. "Toby," he said gently, I know things have been hard for you, but I want you to know I'm here. Whatever you need. Money, connections, a place to stay. You're my brother. Your success is my success. He handed me an envelope. Inside was 2 million naira and the keys to a brand new Toyota Corolla. Start something, he said. Anything. I believe in you. I wanted to hug him. I wanted to cry. I wanted to thank him. But all I felt was rage. Burning, irrational, soul-destroying rage. Because this wasn't love. This was charity. This was him reminding me, once again, that he was a successful one, the provider, the savior, and I was a failure, the burden, the one who needed saving. I took the money. I took the car. And I began planning how to take his life. 3 months later, the opportunity came. Chike called me one Saturday evening, his voice excited. Toby, I just got engaged. Adiz said yes. Come to the mainland, let's celebrate. Just the two of us. Like old times. We agreed to meet at a bar in Oberland, then go for a drive across the third mainland bridge. It was something we used to do as teenagers. Drive around Lagos at night, talking about life, dreams, fears. But tonight would be different. I arrived at the bar early and ordered 2 bottles of Hennessy. I crushed 4 tablets of Rohypnol into his glass. Not enough to knock him out completely, just enough to slow his reflexes, cloud his judgment. When he arrived, we drank. We laughed. We talked about his engagement, his new job offer in Dubai, his plans to take Mama on vacation to London. He was so happy, so alive, so unaware. By the time we got into his Range Rover and started driving toward the bridge, he was drowsy but still conscious. Toby, I don't feel so good, he mumbled, slumping against the window. It's the alcohol, I said calmly. Let's get some air. I'll drive. We pulled over at a quiet section of the bridge. It was past midnight. No cars. No witnesses. Just the hum of the lagoon below and the distant glow of Lagos Island. I helped him out of the car. He leaned on me, trusting, vulnerable. And then I pushed him. He didn't scream. He just looked at me, his eyes wide with shock and confusion, as he fell backward over the railing and disappeared into the darkness. I stood there for 10 seconds, breathing heavily, waiting to feel something. Guilt, horror, regret. But I felt nothing. Just empty. I drove his car to Surulere, abandoned it in an alley, and walked home. By morning, the news had spread. Promising young Dr. falls off Third Mainland Bridge. The police ruled it an accident. Drunk driving. Tragic loss. Mama collapsed when she heard. She was hospitalized for 2 weeks. At the funeral, I cried. Real tears. Not for Chike, but for myself. Because I realized, standing over his casket, that I hadn't freed myself. I had destroyed myself. For 6 months, life continued. I used the money Chike gave me to rent a better apartment in Yaba and start a small electronics business. It was doing okay. Not great, but okay. Mama moved in with me. She had aged 10 years and 6 months. She barely spoke, barely ate. She would sit by the window for hours, staring at nothing, whispering Chike's name. I tried to be a good son. I cooked for her. I prayed with her. I pretended to mourn with her. But at night, alone in my room, I felt the emptiness growing. Then, one evening, something strange happened. I was closing my shop in Computer Village when a man approached me. He was tall, dark-skinned, wearing a white kaftan. His eyes were unsettling, too calm, too knowing. To Bena Okafor, he said quietly. I frowned. Do I know you? No, but I know you. And I know what you did. My blood turned cold. I don't know what you're talking about. He smiled, not a friendly smile, a knowing one. The lagoon does not forget. Tabena, what you throw into the water, will one day wash back to shore. Before I could respond, he turned and disappeared into the crowd. I stood there, trembling, my heart racing. Who was that man? How did he know? I told myself it was coincidence. A madman, a prophet spouting nonsense. But deep down I knew. Karma had found me. 2 weeks later, I saw him. Chike. I was driving through Lekki, heading to a supplier, when I spotted him walking into a restaurant. Same height, same build, same walk. My hands went numb. I swerved, nearly hitting another car, and pulled over on the side of the road, gasping for air. It couldn't be him. I watched him fall. I watched him die. But I had to know. I parked and walked toward the restaurant, my legs shaking. Through the glass window, I saw him sitting at a table, laughing with a woman. And when he turned his head, I saw his face clearly. It wasn't Chike, but the resemblance was terrifying. I stumbled back to my car and drove home in a daze. That night, I dreamed of the bridge, of Chike's eyes wide with betrayal as he fell into the darkness. When I woke up, there was water on my bedroom floor. Lagoon water. Salty. Dark. Smelling of decay. I checked every pipe, every window, every corner of the apartment. Nothing was leaking, but the water was there. Real. Undeniable. And in the puddle, written in the wet floor, were 2 words. I know. From that night, my life began to collapse. My business started failing. Customers disappeared. Suppliers refused to work with me. Money vanished from my accounts without explanation. Mama's health worsened. She began having nightmares, screaming Chike's name in her sleep, clawing at her chest as if trying to pull something out. And I kept seeing him. Everywhere. At the market. On the bus. In the mirror. Always watching. Never speaking. I tried to run. I left Lagos, moved to Abuja, then Enugu, then Port Harcourt. But he followed. One night in Port Harcourt, I checked into a hotel, exhausted, desperate for sleep. At 3 a.m., someone knocked on my door. Room service. I didn't order anything, but I opened the door. Standing there, holding a tray, was Chike. Not a lookalike. Not a ghost. Him. Soaking wet. Eyes hollow. Skin pale. "Hello, brother," he whispered. I screamed and slammed the door. When I opened it again seconds later, the hallway was empty, but on the tray, left on the floor, was a single item. The engagement ring he had been wearing the night I killed him. I returned to Lagos broken, haunted, desperate. I went to the police and confessed everything. They laughed at me. "You're saying you killed your brother, but his death was ruled an accident, and now you're seeing his ghost." They thought I was insane. Maybe I was. I went to Mama and confessed to her. She stared at me for a long time, tears streaming down her face. Then she said something that destroyed me. "I know." My heart stopped. You knew." She nodded slowly. The morning after he died, I found his phone. There was a text he sent to Adiz an hour before he died. He said he was worried about you. He said you had been acting strange. He said he wanted to help you, no matter what it cost. She paused, her voice breaking. And I knew in my heart what you had done. But I didn't want to believe it, because you are still my son. She stood up slowly, her frail body shaking. "But you are not my son anymore. You are a murderer, and I cannot forgive you." She walked out of the room. That was the last time I ever saw her. She died 3 days later in her sleep. The doctor said it was heart failure, but I knew better. I had killed her too. A week after Mama's funeral, I received a letter. No return address. Just my name. Inside was a single piece of paper. "Come to the bridge. Midnight. Alone. It's time." I knew who it was from, and I knew I had no choice. That night, I drove to the third mainland bridge. The same spot where I had pushed him. I parked and stepped out of the car, the wind whipping around me, the lagoon roaring below, and then I saw him, Chike, standing on the railing, just as he had been the night he fell. But this time, he was smiling. "Hello, Toby." My voice cracked. Are you real? Does it matter?" He tilted his head. "Real or not, you see me. You feel me. You carry me everywhere." Tears streamed down my face. "I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry." "I know you are," he said gently. "But sorry doesn't bring me back. Sorry doesn't bring Mama back. Sorry doesn't undo what you become. Then what do you want?" I screamed. "What do you want from me?" He stepped down from the railing and walked toward me. When he was close enough, he placed a cold, wet hand on my shoulder. "I want you to understand," he whispered, "that jealousy doesn't kill the person you envy. It kills you." And then he pushed me. I fell, just like he did, into the darkness, into the water, into nothing. They found my body 3 days later, washed up on the shore near Ape. The police ruled it a suicide. At my funeral, only 5 people came. No tears were shed. No eulogies were given. Just a quick burial in a public cemetery. My grave unmarked, my name forgotten. But before they lowered my casket, a man in a white kaftan appeared. The same man who had warned me in Computer Village. He stood over my grave and said quietly, "The lagoon does not forget, and neither does karma." Then he disappeared, and I was gone, not to heaven, not to hell, just gone. Because when you kill the person who loved you most, you don't just lose them, you lose yourself. And karma doesn't kill you. It erases you, as if you never existed at all. Jealousy is not just a feeling. It's a poison that seeps into your soul, slowly, quietly, until it controls every thought, every action, every breath. It makes you believe that someone else's success is your failure, that someone else's light dims yours, that the only way to rise is to destroy. But here's the truth jealousy doesn't want you to know. Your brother's success was never your failure. His light never dimmed yours. And destroying him didn't make you free. It made you nothing. So if you're reading this and you feel that familiar coil of envy tightening around your heart, stop, breathe, and remember to Bena Okafor, the man who killed his brother because he was smarter, the man who thought murder would set him free, the man who learned, too late, that karma doesn't forget, and it never, ever forgives.